Are you tired of the cookie-cutter approach to education that's stuck in the last century? Are you seeking a win-win situation where your family thrives, your kid's education is revolutionary, and you still get to chase your own dreams? Welcome to Unschooled Unleashed. Unlock your child's genius. I'm your host, Matthew Jarecki, an unapologetic rebel dad and promoter of what many consider to be educational anarchy. You know the world isn't going to be won by those that just toe the line. It's the innovators, the visionaries, and the resilient spirits that are going to thrive. Our mission here is to forge those world changers within our very homes with less stress, energy, and time. Unschooled Unleashed starts now. Welcome back to another fantastic episode of Unschooled Unleashed. I'm your host, Matthew Jarecki, and today we're going to talk about how to set yourself up for success in the new year. We have 2025 just around the corner. 2024 is now becoming part of the history books, and we can look back and feel good about what we've done because we did our best, right? And all the mistakes we made and everything poor that happened, it's just lessons learned. And we learn from that, and then we make adjustments and we move on. Into the new year. I love the new year. It's one of my favorite times because we can imagine our future. And it's just this nice restart. You got the holidays behind you. You got a whole bunch of stuff that you can see off into your future with. And boom, let's turbocharge this one for the new year with your family's education. So with that, let's dive in. Today we're going to talk about starting your year off right by embracing intentional unschooling principles to empower your family and nurture your child's potential. Why now? Well, the new year is a time to take a fresh start, look around, reimagine learning with your family. In fact, it's a great time to look around and reimagine everything that you're doing. Make sure you're on the right track. This episode, though, is going to help you build momentum with intentional unschooling principles to create freedom, growth, and even deeper connections with your children. So how do we do that? Well, let's first talk about why the new year, I should say, is the perfect time for a fresh start. So a new year invites reflection. It's just this natural marker where we have the end and then the beginning. What worked last year? What did I do last year? What worked? What didn't? And you can use this insight to plan an intentional approach. Again, if you don't understand what intentional unschooling is, I'll actually cover that here in a minute, but go back and listen to that episode. We're going to be very involved with our kids. That means we're going to have to transition from busy schedules and not being able to do much with our children to meaningful activities with our children and doing things that they're into. We're going to focus on quality over quantity in our child's learning. And I think the holiday season naturally sparks curiosity for kids because there's a lot of gift stuff and they have to do a bunch of baking and there's family traditions and you got to learn budgeting and you're spending this money, and there's all these little things that can have natural discussions, but we often fly through that. Slow down a little bit, build on these moments. I know I've found it very difficult to slow down more recently because we are building the box truck into an RV, the Stealth RV. If you don't know about that, we bought a box truck and we're making our own RV. I'm the architect, engineer, and I'm partly the builder. And what we're doing is me going to the hospital a lot to work. That's where I work. I'm a respiratory therapist. And it's just a very busy season. It turns out around the holidays is when a lot of the flu, COVID, RSV, all these things are hitting right now really hard. So we need a lot of people. So it's just a time for me to pick up. And I'm struggling so much because if I hit certain hours, I get a bonus. And it's very lucrative to be able to do that. So I'm hitting all these bonuses to pay for our box truck and see how fast we can get that done. And boy, it has just created a season in which I'm getting no rest. In fact, I really don't even want to be recording this episode today. I would rather be on the couch resting. I am exhausted. I worked 16 hours yesterday. I'm working 12 hours tomorrow, and I am just not getting many breaks. So I got, after this, 2 more weeks of a lot of hours, and I may take a break after that. We'll see. But again, the point of what I'm trying to say is slow down. I unfortunately have to pick up during this time. I don't have to. I choose to because it's lucrative right now. And when the hours slow down and the bonuses go away, then I won't pick up as much. That's kind of how I'm playing it. It just happened to work out this way. But either way, we're taking time with our family. We actually use the week between Christmas Day and New Year's Day as a time for just free reign. Do whatever you want. Right? Kids play video games. We put together all their toys. We try and focus on being with them. This is a little bit of a different season for us this year, unfortunately. But we do try and just have that time to slow down normally. Moving on, the foundations of intentional unschooling. Like I referenced earlier, we do have an episode totally about this, but let's cover it. Because if you're going to reshape your kids' education, this is the way I suggest. This is the way I do it. Let's just say that. 1, we got to trust in your child's instincts. They're wired to be curious. Let's them lead the education. We call that child-led learning. They're going to want to learn more about something. Our job is to make that happen. We're going to provide the resources. We're going to provide even the exposure. If they're not into something, maybe we can help them find something they're into. Take them to the museum, take them into nature, something like that. Get them interested in something because trust me, they're kids. They should be interested in something. If they're not, probably more going on there. Kids are naturally curious. But expose them to stuff and then give them the resources to learn about it and just let them lead. They're going to learn 10 times faster than any other kids, simply because they're interested in it. Excuse me. Interest-based exploration. So deep learning by following what excites them, whether it's dinosaurs, cooking, or coding. So, the child leads, and I already kind of referenced this, but it's got to be interest-based. They have to be able to jump into whatever they're interested in. It doesn't matter what it is. Just that they're interested, they're going to learn so much quicker. We need to recognize that learning happens everywhere, and we need to redefine what a classroom is in the new year. The world is full of lessons. A trip to a farmer's market can teach economics, communication, sustainability. I mean, it could be a million different things you could talk about and have them learn about. Pull up a YouTube about it. If they're even more interested in something, get them a textbook, get them a book more where they can learn about it. This is your job as a parent, is to provide those resources and exposure. Intrinsic motivation. Children learn out of curiosity rather than obligation, and the results are profound and lasting if you do it this way. So this is where the unschooling part comes in. They're naturally curious. They naturally want to learn. We just provide those resources and we expose them to things to hopefully get them interested in things. But they are internally, that's what intrinsic means, within, internally motivated to learn. You don't have to get on their case. They just want to do it. That is the power of unschooling, in my opinion. And if you combine that with intentional unschooling, or just make it the version of unschooling I call intentional unschooling, you're going to excel so much relative to traditional schools, in my opinion. Moving on, let's bust some myths of unschooling. Myth 1, the one I hear, it's too chaotic. They just think it's just chaos all the time. It's only video games or something. I'm not quite sure. Truth, intentional unschooling adds structure by fostering a family rhythm and aligned values. So we're going to provide structure. We're going to provide structure to children, and they're going to be able to do whatever they want within that time, as long as it aligns with whatever structure you set. So for example, in the afternoons, we will do quiet time sometimes. We used to do this on a regular basis. We've fallen out of the habit, but take an hour. You can do anything you want. It's just going to be quiet. We're not going to talk. It's not going to be interactive. So you can draw, you can write, you can build, you can do whatever you want, but you're not going to be making a whole bunch of noise. Read, sleep, doesn't matter. This is the kind of structure that we created. And that is not chaotic. In the evenings and morning, before they wake up and before they get out of bed and right after they go to sleep, before they actually fall asleep, when they're in bed, those are other quiet times where they can do whatever they want. We provide them with tons of books. We go to the library once, maybe twice a week to be able to give them books. We try and expand them as well to be able to get them out of just the same books, even though I think there's nothing wrong with reading the same books. I want them to expand their horizons because I'm an intentional unschooler. We also have a lot of just flexibility within our day. So when they talk about the chaos of potentially unschooling, honestly, we have more control of our day than most people do. We are able to make decisions based on what's best for our family. If everyone's kind of sick, we don't really do much. We chill out. We play games. If I'm missing my family, that's what we do. We play games. We do something together. It also allows us to take advantage of all the homeschooling discounts in the off season, so we could actually go do something. We often we'll take a couple times we've taken our kids out for a little trip to Great Wolf Lodge at the swim park, but we only do that in the off season. We're not going to go when it's crowded. We get way better rates in the off season, and it's a lot of fun. So when we need to break it up, that's what we do. Myth number 2, kids won't learn essential skills. These are the skills like math, reading, social interaction, all these things. So these skills, the truth is, skills like math, reading, social interaction, action naturally emerge during life's real world challenges. An example might be teaching fractions when you're talking about budgeting. You know, your money, they earn some money, so they're going to budget it. Or maybe it comes up in cooking, where you're using fractions. Even just soft skills like patience, come in, and we learn those. These are essential skills. What I fear is sending my kids to public school and they don't learn essential skills. They don't learn how to budget. They don't learn how to just interact with adults, interact with other people without going crazy or being, socialized in the wrong way. If you want to listen to my last episode, socialized in a way that I don't really think is good for the kid. I think that the essential skills will pop up if they're essential. You're literally doing life. Teach them what is essential along the way. When something comes up, like some life lesson, like maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you didn't pay the credit card off. And you want to teach them what happens when you don't pay the credit card off. You could teach them. That's, in my opinion, the kind of life skills that you really should know, because that's a life skill. I have had no problem teaching my kids reading or math at all, because reading, it keeps them occupied during the quiet times. Math, it unlocks everything. They just are able to understand the world. And as long as you focus on explaining to the kids why it's important, pointing it out along the way, eventually they kind of catch on to where their world could open up if they could do more of that. For example, if they can count their money and do fractions and do math and all this stuff, they can spend some of their money. But I don't let them spend their money unless they actually count it out. They have to learn fractions and all this stuff before they can do that. Another myth is parents need to teach everything. The truth is, you're not the sole teacher. You're actually just a facilitator. You introduce tools, resources, mentors, experiences, exposure to different things. That's your job, and you can learn it with them. If you have not needed to learn the quadratic equation until your kid comes up with it to try and, because that's what you're supposed to do, think about whether the quadratic equation is really needed in your life. And whether that is a necessary or essential skill, that you might not even need to teach it. Well, I'm horrible at math. I can't teach my kids math, is what I hear parents say. Well, do you need to teach it? There's plenty of online stuff. That's one. Synthesis is one that I'm going to be purchasing for one of my kids. It's an AI tutor. We're going to try it out, see what it's like for math. There is other people. There's YouTube and videos. There's books, and you can learn with them at the very worst, where you get out a book, a textbook, and you just do it with them, and you learn. And if you don't understand it, go back and read. Teach them how to learn on their own. This is a great skill. But either way, you don't even need to teach anything. You're a facilitator. You are learning alongside them. And I think the more teachers they have in their life, the better. Anyways, moving on, crafting your family's 2025 vision, your New Year's vision. So I always try and go back to my core values. So we need to set the stage with core values. What do you want your family to prioritize this year? An example could be creativity. Maybe we're trying to get flexibility. Maybe it's kindness, something like that. When we go back and we focus on our family values, it gives us a good starting point. Encourage the family members to contribute. Then we can set goals. And these goals can be learning goals. They can just be goals in general, because you got to, to get something done, you're going to have to learn. Like if I said I wanted to have double my audience on my podcast, well, I'd have to learn how. So it doesn't have to be a learning goal. The learning can be inherent within it. Use their interests as a starting point and create a nice flexible plan. You don't want to be too rigid, because that takes the fun out of it, especially as they really don't know what they're doing. An example might be that your child loves history, so you explore local landmarks and create a project where you're going to make a timeline. Excuse me. We have the box truck that we're going to have. That's one of the things that we're going to do. And we're going to start visiting different places across the country. One of the places we want to visit is we want to watch the Starship, Elon Musk's SpaceX, their Starship that's going to go to Mars. We want to watch that take off. And we want to watch I think it's the booster land. So that's something on our list, because we like learning about engineering. We like learning about the stars, space, physics, all these things. So we're going to go out and do that and explore other places too. Geology, we're going to go to the desert. We're going to go to some historical places, like we want to go to Gettysburg, which isn't too far from us. All things that are totally possible for us now that we're prioritizing in 2025, because we know what we want to do, where we want to go, and how we want to do it. Also, it's helpful if you incorporate holistic goals. So this is more for I don't want to say you want to set this for the family, but at the very least, you want to set this for you at physical, emotional, and spiritual. These are all growth areas you want to focus on. If you're not taking care of yourself, then you're not going to be able to take care of others emotionally, spiritually, and physically. You do want to try and get the kids involved in things that will allow them to grow in those areas as well. For example, we have our kids starting basketball in 2 weeks or so, and that's going to help them become more physically fit. Emotionally, we do a lot of talking about things when they come up, so we spend a lot of time on working through that. And as far as spiritual is concerned, when that comes up, we definitely talk about it. And when we go to church, they're obviously getting something there, and we try and make sure that we take those moments when they come up to really dive in and point to how to grow spiritually. Moving on, we also want to expand everyday learning activities in 2025. And the way we want to do that is household chores, outdoor activities, storytelling and reading, games, and technology. We want to continue to grow in all these areas. So with household chores, they're already doing their laundry and folding their laundry. They're going to start helping me a lot more with some of the things that I do. I believe chores are educational gold. And once you teach them how to do it, then you can hand it off to them. Then they learn how to do it really proficiently with repetition. This is teaching them how to be an adult. When I have to jump in and fix something, I need a helper. I'm hesitant to call it a chore, but I need someone to help me out, and I'm going to teach them along the way. These are all great learning opportunities. But continue to expand on responsibilities within the household. We also offer them different chores where they get paid. So they have chores that they just contribute to our household. That's just the way the world works. Dishes have to be washed. Floors have to be swept, stuff like that. But there are things that they can do to earn extra money. One of the things we allow them to do to earn extra money is taking the trash out, taking the bins up to the curb, bringing them back, cleaning the back hallway, sweeping it up, doing some stuff. Different things around the house that we attach a price to, and then when they want to earn extra money, they go over and do that. These are great activities for kids to do and earn some money. As far as outdoor learning activities, nature walks. They can lead to talking about plants or ecosystems, or even learning survival skills, which is kind of cool. My boys are a little bit into. I would say majorly, but our Christmas was themed around exploration, so they got themselves a bunch of stuff to put on their backpacks that's going to help them, quote unquote, survive. They got a whistle that they can blow if they ever get lost, because we're going to spend some time out exploring. One of my sons got a metal detector. Now both of them have metal detectors, so we're going to go out and find stuff out there, and we're just going to learn. We're going to find different things, and it'll just be a lot of fun. Might even get a book on plants and see if we can identify plants, stuff like that. Storytelling and reading. So we can turn bedtime stories into interactive learning moments by asking what if or creating alternate endings. We could also just read something that's going to build them, something where they can learn. Like we read a lot of Bible stories when they go to bed. We made that a habit for many years, and we decided not to continue just because it extended bedtime out to about an hour and a half in total, and we had to trim when we changed up our lives. But I would like to bring back storytelling and reading time on a nightly basis, because I think it was a great time just to generate a lot of conversation. I think that was good, and that's it's one of the reasons we do home education, is to be able to answer those kinds of questions and give them a well thought out answer, or point them in the direction of more resources. Games and technology. We can use this. There's opportunities there. Strategy, board games, or coding platforms to engage your kids in critical thinking. My son just got a marble game that, I have to logically build these marbles to be able to create a path. We got him other sets for building creativity and using logic. There's so many different ways to do this. Like I said, we're using the synthesis app. We're going to use the synthesis app once my son hits his goal of learning up to the 15s in the times table. He gets that as a reward. And we also use the PBS Kids app. I'm trying to think of more apps. So we use a lot of apps to teach, and I actually think it's pretty good. They take a lot from it. So we set up times where they're allowed to do that, but they don't sit on screens all day. Moving on, building resilience through challenges. Teach kids to embrace failure as a part of learning. This could be part of your New Year plan. Point out where you fail. I fail all the time. And I'll tell you what, If your kids don't learn failure, then they're going to have a very difficult time. Failure is just a part of life. So I like to point it out for them, try and normalize it, but they're still scared of it, just like everyone else. But hopefully less so. Encourage kids to take ownership of their mistakes and celebrate problem-solving efforts. So when they actually do something great, like they solve the problem, have them celebrate, run around the house, give high fives, do the whole thing. Use the new year to focus on a growth mindset. Mistakes are lessons and not setbacks. That's the way we like to look at mistakes, is they're just the next step on the rung to figuring it out. It's like, whoops, well, that didn't work. Won't do that again. Let's try something else. That's how we try and look at things, as opposed to, oops, we made a mistake. Awful me. Shouldn't have done that. You don't want to do that. Moving on, parental roles and intentional unschooling. So we're also encouragers. Celebrate your child's progress no matter how small. Remember, we're comparing them to the previous them. An example might be when your child perseveres through a tough project. Maybe they were struggling with the times table and they finally did it for the first time. They got the 7s. Celebrate with them. It's a big deal. Have them run around the room, do a dance party. That's what we do. Focus on the role as a facilitator. You're going to offer these resources, these tools, ways to make connections between things, expose them to different things that they might be interested in. Stuff like this could be as simple as enrolling them in a painting workshop or introducing them to someone they admire. Maybe it's a painter they admire. And it might inspire them. But you can create those connections, especially with the young ones. You also want to be a role model yourself. I'm big on this one. Live intentionally. Show your children that learning is something that even adults do. Experimenting is something adults do. Failure is something adults do. Grow alongside with them. This is a very fun thing if you can make that work. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm learning how to build a box truck. I'm learning how to program AI. Learning how to do a podcast. Putting it out there, to the world. A lot of fun. And lastly, how to stay consistent throughout the year. So this is the hardest part. But 1, create a weekly routine. Establish regular times for self-led exploration. If you just get it on autopilot, that's probably what's best. Like I said, we do quiet times in the morning and in the evening. That's usually enough for us. Sometimes we do it in the afternoons. And we're allowed certain things. We know they're going to work on this or that during that time. Like reading, writing, drawing, even math. If we allow them to have a tablet, they like doing math on the tablets. Any routine that's going to help. Maybe it's a walk with the dog in the morning for exercise, or maybe it's games in the morning with them to get them critically thinking, and you pick a game that they have to actually think. We like to do sequence, which is a lot of fun because you have to kind of recognize patterns. We also do other games that are a lot of fun, like Monopoly, where they learn how to strategize and make trades and all this stuff. It's a lot of fun for us. Track progress creatively. Use a journal or documents. Celebrate at the end of your week how much you've gotten done. What I do is I capture everything that I've done within the day. This is, when I'm operating at my best and when I'm journaling, what I do is I have what I did today that I'm willing to celebrate. What did I learn today? What did I do that's great? Those are the questions all asked in the same sentence. Then I just start listing stuff out. And it's funny because by the end of it, you're like, wow, I actually did have a pretty good day. Then you celebrate it. Your goal is to get 70% of what you set out to get done. And at the end of it, you celebrate it no matter what. But if you hit 70%, boy, oh boy, you're knocking it out of the park. You're going to make big change. And then the next question I ask is, what did I learn? And if I ask what I learned, it's not just what I learned. What did I learn? What do I do different? What should I do different next time? And how can I do it better, or how can I, I'm trying to remember the exact question. How can I make this, if I didn't complete something, how can I make it irrelevant and needed to be completed? Basically, like, can we just skip this? And those are good questions too, because you're constantly getting better and getting better and getting better. Adapt to life's changes, right? You're not going to be able to plan out this whole year. Someone may pass that you love, or you may get hurt, or maybe you get a promotion. Maybe we should focus on some good stuff. Maybe you get a promotion, or maybe you get a new client. All of a sudden your life changes. Maybe you need to move because of an opportunity. Life will throw surprises at you. That's the one guarantee you have. Flexibility ensures you don't lose momentum. So one of my values is flexibility. So I really focus on staying very, very flexible. That's it for today's episode. I'm going to end with a couple things, actually. So one, just a little bonus segment. Find unschooling groups online or locally to give yourself fresh ideas and encouragement. Create your own community if you can't find one that you like, of like-minded individuals. And I'm always online. I shouldn't say always. I am online a little bit more, particularly on X. It's where I post most of my stuff. And I'm trying to get a little bit more consistent, so you can interact with me on there. Maybe we'll have our own community on there. Maybe it's a Facebook group. I'm not quite sure. But wherever it naturally pops up, we're just going to let that thing pop up. Actionable tips for listeners. Choose one day each week to experiment with unschooling principles, trying something new, something you might not have done before. You're going to find something that works. Take it. Find the 10 that don't. Get rid of them. Start a family habit of reflecting on what did we learn today, maybe during dinner or something. And that's a great way to keep that growth mindset and embody that for the new year, or embrace that for the new year. Introduce one new tool or resources. Maybe it's a art kit or science kit, to see how your child engages with it, and learn from that and see where you might want to go. Join or form a community to exchange resources, ideas, embrace failure, yours and your child's, as a chance to learn together. So in conclusion, 2025 can be the year your family thrives by embracing intentional unschooling. With curiosity, connection, and flexibility, every day becomes a learning adventure. Imagine what's possible by the end of the year when you prioritize growth and freedom over rigid schedules, and being able to take the time that you need to address whatever you see as important right in front of you for you and your family. Let's make this year of unlocking your family's full potential the year that you just go wild. And it's just the year of the inflection point. Anyways, with that, I'm going to end today's episode. So stay curious, stay unschooled, and stay away from the algebra nightmares. I'll catch you in the next episode. So here's where we roll up our sleeves and bring out the big guns. If you support our mission, then please leave a review. On Unschooled Unleashed, we are talking about using a radical approach to education in today's world, and the more 5-star reviews we have, the more people will feel comfortable with the ideas, strategies, and principles we discuss. It gives legitimacy to our message, and the podcast's algorithm prioritizes us so we can reach more people. You may even have your 5-star review read on our podcast. Before I let you go, I have to pause and say this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Your presence here is the fuel that ignites this movement. I am incredibly moved that you trust in us enough to click play. You, my friends, are the caped heroes in this story, the guardians of your family's learning journey, and a beacon of hope for your community. Be bold. Do what you think is best for you and your family. Thanks again for tuning in and taking this courageous leap outside of the box for this educational revolution. Welcome to the front line.